How the fuck are we doing today, boys?
It makes what's an already bad situation worse.
High out of our minds.
Infinity Ward, Treyarch, whatever. Dog shit companies.
Roasted.
Yeah, we had a beautiful weekend here in Kentucky.
True!
Pre-nerf DMR for.
So like,
Finish your fucking battle passes and then steal your mother's credit card, of course, to buy the new one. Code Hardstuck. It's a joke.
Are they gonna finish the fucking construction on it?
It's gonna be fucking terrible.
it's impossible to challenge.
Don't go to downtown.
Right.
Simply
You
stay
shouldn't
away.
be-
I have been following you all the way from Farmer Dan's land to the fucking village outside the stadium.
Fuck you if you like the Odin.
They're gonna be useless in quads.
Shout out to Tim, friend of the
Timbo.
podcast.
All right, we're doing the intro, boys. Lock it in.
I'd never died if somebody with a riot shield and nail guns.
Central New York, which is, of course, Canada.
I'm good at the video game. I love the Street Sweeper. What up?
If you like the Odin, you're dumb shit and you should unsubscribe from this podcast.
Yeah, I said, you said high skill, but even still, like,
It pisses me off, so it's a problem.
Join the fucking Discord. Activision doesn't like us.
75 people left after the first zone closes.
Throwing this Logitech mouse through the window to my left. Moving on. Hello and welcome to the Hardstuck Podcast. This is a weekly podcast discussing meta topics surrounding the video game Warzone, published by Activision, the worst company known to man. My name is Boopsy, and of course today I'm joined as always by Mythic and Gohan as we discuss some of the things that infuriate us, more specifically me, about this video game. Now, a couple weeks ago, we did all the things that Warzone did right. Okay? So, I already fucking told you the game's fine, right? This is my turn to bitch about the game because it's dog shit. So if you don't want to hear me bitch for the next 2 hours, just go do something else. Go watch Nick Merckx make his 7th loadout video of the month. Go do that. Go watch fucking Swag use an XM4 for 3 months, okay? If you don't want to hear this. But anyways, before we get into any of that, how the fuck are we doing today, boys?
Good man, how are you?
terrible. Terrible.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. So Tarkov wiped this week. So I've been playing Tarkov, which is wonderful because it has an anti-cheat. So I'm in a great mood.
You want to know what has an anti-cheat, but what is still a dog shit game, and there's a fuck ton of cheaters still?
Rainbow Six Siege, I imagine.
Rainbow fucking Six Siege.
Yeah.
Lat 3, by the way, still got it. What up?
Just give Tarkov a week, dude, and everybody else is gonna have all their stuff done, and you're just gonna be left behind because you can't play the game every day, all day. You know?
My stash is worth more right now than I have ever acquired currency in that game in the year and a half I've owned it. So I'm pretty sure this is my wipe. I'm pretty sure I'm taking all these boys to church, but we'll see. I usually only have fun for like the first 3 or 4 weeks of the wipe, and then it just gets.
That's when everybody gets to the point where they have all the good stuff, and you just can't. You can't get
Well,
it.
so the problem with Tarkov after the first 3 or 4 weeks is that's when the meta develops. Everyone has enough money to run the best ammo and the best guns and the best armor and helmets and everything. So at that point, it just becomes strictly PvP, which is still fun. The gunplay in that game is good, and it's still a fun time. But like right now, you have to do all the quests and all the progression to get to that point. And in my opinion, that's the most fun part of the game. Not necessarily because no one has good like weapons and armor and stuff. Like I don't mind fighting people who are chatted up as long as I'm chatted up too, which I will be. But it just gets to the point where like the game just becomes all about PvP, and like the risk reward isn't there once you get to a certain point. Once you have millions and millions of currency in that game, like you don't have the same like heart racing, like, oh, I need to get out with this expensive shit because I'm homeless and I need this money. Once you have a certain amount of money, it just doesn't matter anymore. Like you can die 300 times in a row and it doesn't even make a dent in your stash. So that's when it like loses its luster a little bit for me. But hopefully that'll be. They made some changes to the game, so now it's level 20 to get to the flea market instead of level 10. So hopefully that'll like double the length of time that it.
Slow it down a little bit.
Yes, it slows the progression down a little bit, which is cool. But anyways, I'm sure nobody who listens to this podcast knows what Tarkov is because it's not on console, PogChamp.
I feel like
right.
we're really sleeping on the fact that I hit Plat 3. Can we step back and address that?
Mythic, you're washed.
Mythic,
Yeah, I mean,
carried by a 14-year-old. Okay.
Yeah, you got carried by Draven,
you're
I
right.
guarantee it.
So, all right, listen here, boys. So it was me, Equator, Key, and Draven, and so we're like 4 stacking it. Long story short, I can support at all hell. Like I am the best support player known to man. Once again, I I mean, I guess I support on offense. I frag out on defense a lot more, but like we started out on defense and I was giving Draven shit because I had more kills than him. I'm like, Draven, I'm better than you. And
which is
then,
of course true.
and then he played IQ and Twitch and killed everybody. And I opened wall, plant kit.
Yeah, I just have to point out that nobody cares, but me and Boopsy won a game the other day 4-0. So let's
Dude,
go.
yes, we
Solid.
We had one
fucking
game, and we were
we
like, that
carried.
was boring, and we left.
Yeah. It was terrible. I had 0% fun in that game of Siege. Now we slammed the
I
other
can't believe you
team.
got through 10. I can't believe you got through 10 games with it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
surprised.
so what happened is like you were doing something and Boopsy hates Warzone, so I was alone and I was like, well, Draven and TJ are on, so I'm gonna go play Siege with them, I guess. And then I helped Draven walk his fucking alt account into Plat 2. His main account's not even there, so let me tell you, the amount of people who were convinced Draven was cheating was
Which he
very
of
high.
course is,
As he
right?
is. Yeah.
And people just screaming about him being a Smurf. Smurfs who were worse than him were pissed that he was smurfing. I was like, bro, you're a level 60 complaining about this kid who's a level like 80 on his alt. I'm
Play the
sorry
game
he's
for
better
head.
than you. I don't know. And then I'd kill him and they were like, oh, he's lucky. And I'm like, you can tell me I'm better than you because I am.
The Siege community never ceases to amaze me with the stupid shit that they say. Actually.
They've got
Ego statement for this episode.
I feel like it's almost gotten worse. Like I went played in the Call of Duty scene, and if anybody's been under a rock or has all voice chat muted forever permanently, I don't. There's the only way you don't know this, but our community here is extremely toxic, extremely racist, and
Well,
they and and in Siege they were finding new ways to call each other derogatory names and like using hard R's and like dropping N words and calling people, names.
there were some
Not
gamers in the chat for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, and then,
Some
like
gamer words.
like you can
Yeah, you
call
kids on
somebody something
console that
over a
think Call of
mic.
Duty's bad, you should play Siege, dude. Siege can get wild sometimes.
Anyone under the age of 20 doesn't know shit about Halo 3, but back in the Halo 3 days, I would go over to my buddy Pat's house and we'd play online Halo 3, and I'm pretty sure they were making up slurs in those lobbies. That's where half of that
Dude,
shit was invented.
To bring it back to Call of Duty though, like you should have been there for MW2, Boopsy. I mean,
No.
that was before your time, but like, good God.
Well, let's be clear, I was alive. I just
wild,
was
man.
doing better things
I
with
just
my
meant
life
before
than playing
your
Call of
time in
Duty.
Call of Duty. Yeah,
Yeah.
before your time in Call of Duty. Those
True.
lobbies, man, like, cause like you know how like
Yeah, those
you load
lobbies
into
were
Warzone now and you can talk to people like in the lobby or whatever, or like even just if you're playing multiplayer, you can talk to people in the lobby before the game starts, right?
Sure.
So back then, up till I don't even know when this started, but or when it ended, I mean. But in MW2, you would be in the same lobby with the same people over and over again until they left.
Oh, we're
So
gonna get
all
into
of the
that, by the
stuff
way.
you'd be saying would just keep going, game after game after game. No death comms, but in between games it got wild.
There
It was
there were
crazy.
death comms in Search.
Yeah. Were
And
they in MW2?
yeah, I'm 99% sure.
I don't remember that. Maybe I don't know, but we were always in party chat.
But
So
in Search and Destroy, that forced you into game chat. You couldn't stay in party chat.
wait, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So if you went and played Search, you were just in for a fucking ride. You were like, grab your fucking seatbelt, flap that bitch on, because we are going to the most racist part of the internet. Like, it was wild.
It was the Wild West for sure.
Like
All right.
at the end of it, I could have sworn I was a different ethnicity. I was like, okay, convinced.
Well, racist tropes from old video games aside, we've got some patch notes to get into before we rock into the main topic. So, I haven't played on this patch, so this will be up to you guys to commentate on, but I'll go through the bullet points here. The C58 had a slight recoil increase. The
Can't tell.
FARA 83 had a slight recoil increase. The
Also can't tell.
XM4 also what?
Also
Also
can't tell.
Can't tell. So they did nothing, right? Moving on to the main topic, I guess. No, the XM4 got a recoil
that you
smoothing.
can tell though. That you
says-
can
Oh.
tell.
So me and Mythic have been very patriotic these last 2 days since
Yes,
they released
sir.
the new bundle, the 4th of July bundle, and I'm telling you that the XM4 long range build right now is wild. I mean, I melted somebody so fast yesterday. I guess I hit all headshots. I don't even know. I didn't save the clip because I'm an idiot. But you can ask Mythic. He was getting shot at. Almost, he got his plates ripped off. I just turn and fry this kid. Like, I could barely see his head over the fence. And I mean, he was dead in like, I don't even know, 0.2 seconds. It was so fast.
I literally had I got shot at because I was buying a UAV, and I hopped off as I was like getting shot, and I jumped over the barricade, had like half HP, got a plate in, and Gohan goes, "He's cracked, he's dead," and I'm like, okay.
It was crazy. So I don't
Okay.
know. I don't really know that it has anything to do with the recoil. I think I just got some lucky headshots on the guy because I mean it was wild. It felt really
Yeah,
good.
but
I
like
mean,
like
the
some of
XM4's
those
been
longer
fun.
range shots have like felt fine though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I can like my skill and like my recoil control, I can compete with a FAR with an XM4.
I think
So-
so. I mean, like we've been using that and the MP5, both those blueprints, the new ones, and it's been a solid loadout for sure.
So the night that the new season dropped, I was up at 3 a.m. of course because I'm homeless, unemployed. And I hopped into Verdansk Mini Trios just to check it out and see what was good with it. And I won a game with two random console kids who were hot micing about some girl they work with at Starbucks. I got 7 kills in a mini with just using the XM4 long range because I just like that was the first gun I put together. Like, hey, let's give this a shot. So even before they changed, like the recoil or whatever, it was just insane. So it doesn't surprise me to hear that with the recoil pattern being smoothed out, it's just a laser beam.
Yeah, it doesn't bounce as like left to right as much.
What it was
like.
originally was it was like the first. So if you had we'll say if you had a 45 round mag in it, the first like 15 shots were just straight vertical, and then it like hooked. It was basically shaped like the recoil pattern was shaped like a question mark. So it was straight up, and then it like did a little fish hook. But
Yeah,
as long as you like controlled your burst, you're fine.
It even like went down a little bit. Like it could like go up and then kick back down just slightly and then come back up.
That's possible. I
I
just
think that's how the
Just
Milano
sounds weird.
is, by the way. Like random side note, it goes up and to the right for a little bit, and then it makes like a small little U, and then goes up and to the right again.
Yeah.
Like I don't
I don't
the
know
weirdest-
why, but I've seen
I don't
like a
know-
bunch of people like doing recoil posts on Twitter, and like that's what's happening for some reason.
Yeah, they
I don't know
definitely
if
look
it's
weird.
new or if it's people just haven't noticed.
well, there's no recoil in the game to begin with. But moving on. So the nail gun had its damage range reduced by a significant margin, 39%, which I think the damage range was only 15 meters to begin with. So a 40% reduction on 15 meters is like this is like 9 point something now meters for max damage, which is good.
Yeah, this definitely makes sense though. I mean, so they wanted something that was kind of like a shotgun, but not a shotgun, and like they felt
It's a
like
street
this was
sweeper that requires you to aim.
I feel like we had that conversation earlier.
Yeah,
so
we've gone
we can
over
move
it.
on.
All right,
change.
so the barrel attachments, basically they just reduced the amount of vertical and horizontal recoil control that the Ranger, Takedown, Reinforced Heavy, and Task Force barrels gave you from 15 down to 10 on the Ranger, Takedown, and Task Force, and down from 7.5 to 5 on the Reinforced
For-
Heavy.
For LMGs and ARs.
For LMGs and ARs, yeah. So everything at the beginning of the season, everything that got those 15% buffs is now down to 10, and the barrel that had like the 7.5 is now down to 5, which is good. All the Cold War guns were laser beams, and that's just.
We talked about it last week. Like it was just too much.
It just it shrinks an already small skill gap to a point where it's just like I haven't even played the game because everyone's just. I literally, every person I die to, it feels like they're cheating, but then you watch the kill cam and it's like, nope, they just have a Farah and they don't miss shots. So
it happened to me like 3 times yesterday. Me and Mythic were talking about it, like I literally yesterday couldn't tell if this kid had aim assist or if he was cheating. It was actually it happened like twice, I think.
But came to confirm he was cheating.
Yeah,
One of them was.
But like that, I don't want to get on it, but I hate aim assist.
We're gonna get into it for sure, right? All right, so that's pretty much it. They said some stuff. I don't believe any of it, so we're not gonna read it. On to the main topic. Okay, so this is what I have written down. I made these notes in about 15 minutes, so I'm sure there are things here that we will talk through and come to an agreement and or disagreement upon, and I'm sure there's stuff that I forgot to add, but we'll kind of work our way through these bullet by bullet, and I will open things up for discussion after each bullet point. So my first thing I have written down, which is my strongest point of contention with the game, is this game is shit. Here are all of the reasons why. Now, again, I'm sure this isn't every single reason, but this is just what I had thought of in the 15 minutes I made the notes, right? So the first one I wrote down is audio issues, not including dead silence. So the audio mixing and layering, as someone who spent 2 semesters in community college, because I'm homeless, studying like voiceover mixing and like basically making commercials where you have to like mix audio so like you can still hear the voices even though there's music playing in the background and sound effects and stuff like that. The mixing and layering in this game is the worst I've actually ever seen in a first-person shooter video game. There's no balance to audio levels. The gunshots are too loud and the footsteps are too quiet relative to gunshots. Now, I'm not saying that footsteps are too quiet, period. If there's no other sounds going on in the game, you certainly can hear footsteps, so long as there's not dead silence involved. But relative to like the cluster strike going on half a mile away and the announcer screaming in my ear about a fucking UAV in the sky and my teammate shooting a suppressed weapon 40 meters from me, you can't hear footsteps in this game if there's other audio going on, which is a problem. Footsteps should always take priority in a first-person shooter, especially one that claims to be competitive. That's my main gripe with the audio in the game. I think other than that, the audio itself sounds good. It's just mixed and layered. The worst, I mean, whoever did this should be fired. Quite simply. It's horrendous. I've never seen anything this bad, and I would be embarrassed to be the person who had to sign off and say, yep, this is what I did at work today. You should be fired. You're terrible. Thoughts,
I think
boys?
it's a fair argument for sure. Like, there's definitely sounds that don't make sense. Like, I mean, also just like you talked about stuff sounding good anyways, but it's just like you said, mixed terribly. But like some of the sounds are awful, dude. Like that freaking dirt bike. That dirt bike sound is just stupid.
It sounds not great, but the biggest problem is that it's too fucking loud.
I agree.
I
just want to point out that the dirt bike sounds like you take a cup. If you take a cup, put it over your mouth and go.
So it sounds like a two-stroke. It sounds like a two-stroke dirt bike. They don't sound good. Like it's fine. It sounds like a shitty dirt bike.
Bro. I like that sound, and it sounds better than that.
Well,
it's much better.
All right, be that as it may. I don't know. Like I said, basically what I was trying to say there is my point of contention isn't with the sound itself. It's with the way that the sound is mixed and the way that the sound is like packaged and sent to my stupid fucking ears. It's horrendous. Change it.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, if there's a precision, dude. My least favorite thing is like sometimes like you can't even hear like it comes to when like people call us precision on you or something. Like so sometimes there's like I don't know if it's a bug or what, but like sometimes it just doesn't pop up on your screen. You don't hear a thing or anything, and then all of a sudden all you can hear is a precision airstrike, and you're in like the middle of a gunfight. Somebody's rapping on you, and it just came out of nowhere. Like that's just You can't hear anything over top of it. That is the loudest thing in the game, actually, I think.
I think what it is it's like in a radius, and I feel like what happens is like you're outside of that radius and then you run into that radius. I could be wrong, and it could also be a bug too.
Yeah,
But that's
maybe. I don't know. It's very weird.
Cause it happened to me, like somebody called out on like the edge of a building, like one of those warehouses, and I was wrapping the full length of the warehouse, and like it was a smart play on his part. And then like I stepped in the corner and I just got mowed down by a precision airstrike, and I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
good game.
But then even then, whenever that airstrike's
GG's.
hitting, you can't hear anything else that's going on.
No, yeah. So I feel like if an airstrike's on top of you, it should be the loudest thing in the world because those jets are
Right.
fairly close to the like in like real world scenario, those jets are fairly close to the ground and you're getting mowed down. Like,
Right.
but like if I'm like not the one getting precisioned and it's across the map, it shouldn't like be like the loudest thing in the world. Like Javen was spectating it the other day because I like shared my screen and you were there, I think, Gohan.
Probably.
And like they're like a precision got called in and Driven's like, oh yeah, I
he said that,
forgot.
yeah.
He said, oh yeah, I forgot. You can't hear yourself think when you hear or when an airstrike's being called in. And I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. Like
So
they're so loud.
my biggest issue with this game in the audio department is that it's not even so much that I can't hear footsteps over a precision, because like I'll accept that like
Right.
there is a certain level of like strategy to like, hey, I'm gonna call in a precision and I'm gonna push so this covers the audio. That I will accept. My biggest issue with it is if I turn my Windows volume up loud enough that I can comfortably hear footsteps, then the first time someone shoots a gun or a precision or anything goes on, I just have hearing damage now. It's just horrendous. Like, so in school, they tell you that in order to package something for commercial use, something that the general public is going to consume, your peak levels, which is like where things should fall on the spectrometer or whatever the fucking audio spectrum, is between -9 and -3 decibels. And that's a comfortable listening volume. So when I'm walking around in the pregame lobby and I reach over to my Go XLR and I turn my Windows volume up so I can hear myself fucking walking around, I'm like, cool, that's comfortable to listen to. And then some fucking dipshit starts shooting at me with a fucking AK-74U from the top of a building, and my eardrums just explode. And it's like, what? How hard would it have been to put a fucking limiter in, just build a limiter into the EQ of the game so that doesn't fucking happen? Like, dude, I can do that for free in Audacity. For free. It's literally you click 2 buttons and it's done. It's not even like it's difficult to do. Just fucking do better, honestly. It makes me furious.
I don't have any argument against you on this one. The audio is
No.
weird in this game, for sure.
Directional audio is also weird, but
Whoever works in the audio, like whoever coded this in should be fired. It's that simple. Are we ready to move on?
yeah.
All right. So, this one's a short one. I don't expect much contention here, but I've been surprised before by these two. The visibility in the game. This is what I have written down. I have main point, visibility, sub point. Is there even any point elaborating on this? If you don't think there's an issue with player visibility in this game, you are brain dead. Thoughts, boys?
The like all dark skins are really stupid. But like the lighting could also be like tremendously better in many different areas of the map and the gulag.
Even outside,
But
even when you're outside running around, the lighting could be a
yeah.
lot better.
Have you ever looked at the sun? Have you ever looked east? I wonder.
Yeah, right. It's awful, dude.
And like I noticed this the other day. And like graphic designer, by the way. So like I kind of know what the fuck's going on when it comes to like image quality and all that. Things aren't contrasted well. There's not contrast between this rose skin wearing an all black skin, or even the milsim operator that we use, or we're using, not anymore because we got a cool lifeguard USA. But anyways, the black, so like that corner can be dark, yes, like the corner of my room is dark, right? But if I were to go put on a black shirt and like black pants and go stand there, you would be able to tell the difference of where my leg is off that background.
It's like a texture issue more than anything. Because what I used to notice with the rose skin is that the texture before they nerfed it and made it slate gray like it is now, colorblind by the way. Before they nerfed it, you literally like it's as if it doesn't, it's as if it just absorbs light, but it doesn't reflect any light. So if there was any light to, the reason you can see my phone over here, even though it's dark, is because it's reflecting light, right? So like you can see that because it's reflecting my big ass Elgato key light in front of me. But when you have like a matte texture in a video game that's just like the lowest poly piece of shit you could possibly put in, which is what the rose skins were, they don't reflect any light, so they're just impossible to see. They're even hard to see like in the, like even if you're outside and they're against like some green bushes or whatever, you can't see them then either. It's not as if it was only a problem inside. And it's not just the rose skin either. It's literally like I frequently walk into buildings and just like am like quick like clearing rooms and shit, and I just don't see somebody that I should see. Now this used to be a problem in Rainbow Six Siege too, and it was for the same, not nearly as bad as in this game, but it was because of like texture stuff. So like, it would be like a brick wall, and then you'd have some rat wearing Cade's fucking Ember Eye skin, and you couldn't see him against the brick wall in Villa. This happened to me many times, by the way. It's a texture issue. It has nothing to do with the color of a skin. You can have a dark outfit without fucking breaking visibility, but you have to code the lighting and the textures in to not be the lowest poly pieces of shit I've ever seen in a fucking video. I feel like I'm playing 007 Nightfire, which came out when I was 11 years old.
But like, not only that, but like, this goes along with the texture thing. Is like, the rose skin itself is like a wetsuit, right? So it's so smooth. So there's not even like, at least with like the Milsim skin we've been running, there's like design on the body, so like you can tell the like different shapes, right? You can make them out up against the wall a little bit better than you can the rose skin because it's just flat. It's like it literally looks like it's a piece of a wall if they're up against the right color wall, either dark
And
or
so
like now gray.
and like if you've ever worn a wetsuit ever, like even if it being black, it's reflective. Like
Yeah, it's made out of fucking rubber, bud.
How many
yeah,
times
like
how many times in your life you wore a wetsuit?
Hey, don't worry about what Mythic does on the weekends, man.
I've gone jet skiing and those water activities.
Me too, in swimming trunks, though. But whatever. I'm not here to
Anyways.
judge you. You know, wear all the wetsuits you want.
Water's cold when you're up here in the mountains, Gohan.
Yeah, not all
Wetsuit
of us
keep
live
warm.
in the dirty South, man.
Dirty South.
The dirtiest of
I'm
dirty
like the
South.
edge of the South, bro.
You're
Like,
lower than the Mason-Dixon line, so dirty
Anyways.
enough for me. Yeah, moving on.
So so the term you're looking for is ambient occlusion is what that is. And it's how light reflects off of surfaces.
Now I have a NVIDIA RTX 3070, so I have my ambient occlusion maxed. My ambient occlusion uses more graphical resources than your entire PlayStation 4. So if you're telling me to turn my fucking settings up, go fuck yourself. That's not the issue. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to our lovely audience who can of course all go fuck themselves in game, of course.
No, so yeah, what it is the ambient occlusion for technical terms is it's not coded to like be stellar. Like
yeah. All right. So does anyone have any more thoughts on the visibility in this game? The lighting and the textures being as poorly designed as they are my main contention there.
Yeah.
I guess this kind of goes into it, but if I ADS with a 20x scope and I zoom all the way in, when I un-ADS, I don't want you to unrender the fucking textures in front of me. Like, keep those textures rendered in. Like, I understand I'm rendering in shit 500 meters away, but don't unrender what I'm standing on.
Also,
'Cause
if
then-
you're playing this game, don't use a 20x.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're using a 20x, you should just
But they had the problem with the HDR too with the variable zoom. Like
the
that was an
variable zoom
issue.
used to literally crash people's games when they would zoom all the way in, dude. I
Yeah,
remember
if you're
that.
on console.
No,
like,
literally, like I was watching OP Mark, who's like one of the he's like high up on the leaderboards for wins, PC player. Uses a controller, rat. But yeah, he literally has like a beefed out like 2080 Titan card or whatever, and he used to just like he would like zoom in once with the variable zoom on the HDR, and his whole game would just fucking black screen. So anyway, moving on. All right, so the next point I have here is lack of an effective anti-cheat. Now, the only reason the word effective is in here is because according to Activision, there does exist an anti-cheat in the game.
When did that? I thought we argued about this before, and you said no.
I am convinced there is in fact not an anti-cheat in the game, but in an effort to keep the argumentativeness of this podcast to a minimum, I will concede the fact that they say there's an anti-cheat.
I think what they mean by that, it has to be the fact that there's some guy somewhere that just like
Yep, they manually review
that's
player
gotta be their
reports
anti-cheat.
and they call it an anti-cheat, which is shameful. They should be shot in the video game Verdansk, of course. But okay, so
are you telling me Manuel's not doing a good job?
Manuel can go fuck himself. My sub note here is that it is unacceptable that a free-to-play game, by the way, that nets more than $100 million every month in microtransactions alone, is unable to provide an effective anti-cheat software into their game in the year 2021. 2021 years since our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ died on the godforsaken cross in Jerusalem. I don't care. I didn't read the book. It's too fucking thick for me, okay? They fucked him up over in the desert 2,000 and something years ago, and we can't fucking put an anti-cheat in the goddamn game. Change it.
We have learned two things about Boopsy. He didn't pay attention in Sunday school and can't read. So.
Well, I got kicked. Moving on. I didn't attend Sunday school. Anyhow. So, does anyone want to argue against this? Do you think they're doing a great job with anti-cheat?
They need to get a hold of freaking what's Siege's anti-cheat that everybody hates? BattleEye. They need to get a hold of BattleEye because everybody hates him anyways. Just let them defer to BattleEye so they have something to complain to. So everybody will leave them alone. So maybe they can focus on something else. Do one thing better. And get rid
Put
of
some more cosmetics in the store and make more money, right? That's all they fucking do anyway.
Just let the players defer to something else and just put it in there. Just to say it's in there, and then it's not on you. You're doing your part. You got one.
The reason,
great anti-cheat, by the way. I absolutely love BattleEye, Boopsy. Do you know how much I love BattleEye?
Yeah,
BattleEye is great.
Okay, so BattleEye is a terrible anti-cheat, and it doesn't fucking work because it doesn't have ring level. It doesn't have ring 0 access to your computer, so it doesn't actually do anything. What BattleEye does, so it is an anti-cheat in the same way that cops prevent crime, right? So an anti-cheat exists, so a certain percentage of people will be deterred from cheating because they will be scared to get banned. Just like I don't go rob the gas station up the street because I don't want to go to jail, right? Now, it works similarly to cops in this way too, right? So if somebody is suspected of cheating, BattleEye has an algorithm that says, hey, if you have a fucking 78% headshot ratio and an 8.0 KD in fucking Siege, your shit's getting manually reviewed, and BattleEye will flag the account. They will manually review it. They will do this to 1,000 accounts every week, and then a ban wave will happen. That's how BattleEye anti-cheat works. That would be enough for Warzone.
False.
It would reduce the number of cheaters that you run into by a magnitude that you can't even comprehend.
Your prior point, the very beginning point of it doesn't have ring level 0. It kind of does.
BattleEye, no, because it doesn't start up when you turn your computer on. BattleEye is not running, therefore it doesn't have ring 0 access.
But when you launch the game, it goes through your running files.
That's still not a kernel access. That's still not kernel access.
Okay.
So
So-
the reason this is important, right? So Valorant's anti-cheat is a kernel level program. So if you have Valorant installed on your computer, every time you turn your computer on, it boots at the same time as Windows does. And what that does is it prevents you from opening up any program that has been detected as a cheat. So the way that cheats work, I've never used them, but from what I've read, is most modern cheats, you open up the program and they insert themselves into a portion of your RAM, your random access memory on your computer. And then you close the program. So it's no longer running, but it still has, it's like running in the background processes, and it's still, so if you open up Task Manager, it doesn't show up, right? But it still has inserted itself into the RAM prior to you launching the game. Therefore, when you launch the game and BattleEye starts running on your system, it doesn't detect it because it's scanning the currently running programs, which the cheats are not currently running because they've already injected themselves into your RAM. So that's why in order for an anti-cheat to actually prevent you from cheating in the first place, it has to have that access to your computer. If it doesn't have that access to your computer, all it's going to do is detect that you have, there's an algorithm that'll be like, hey, this guy's stats are sus, review his account, and then you'll get banned. So that even that level of dog shit anti-cheat like BattleEye would significantly reduce the amount of cheaters we run into every day. Because even though the game's free to play, you still have to go through the 15 minutes or whatever of making a new account, and you have to fucking get a new phone number or whatever for two-factor authentication. So it still would slow down the availability of new accounts, and cheaters would be less prevalent.
So you remember back in the day when we played Siege all the time, when I would have to restart my IQ lighting software, right? And because of BattleEye would close it. Same company is also the anti-cheat for Fortnite. And want to know what game
Fortnite uses easy anti-cheat.
Easy. Yeah,
That's a different anti-cheat.
No, I thought it was the same one.
Nope.
I was told they were the same one. But anyways, so want to know what game I can't open because of my IQ lighting software?
I'm not trying to say that anti-cheats are perfect. I'm just saying to have an anti-cheat is infinitely better than to not have an anti-cheat in a fucking competitive, which this game is of course not, shooter.
Have you seen the new wave of competitiveness this game, actually? Sidebar?
The World Series of Warzone?
Yeah, that, but private lobbies.
Yeah, the World
So
Series
that
of
makes a
Warzone.
big difference. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think that's going to be happening a lot more, I feel like.
There's no such thing as a competitive battle royale, but that's a topic for another day. So does anyone have anything else to add on the anti-cheat debacle?
Point in there. I don't care. Just as long as they don't think IQ is fucking hacks. Okay, I digress.
Well, stop hacking, Mythic.
Listen, if you ever listen to this podcast and you're a cheater, just don't, right? Just don't. It's pretty
Cheaters
simple.
don't listen to podcasts about the video
Just
games
play.
they're cheating.
But see, that's what's crazy, though, is because, like, if you're that invested, why?
They're not that invested. They don't have the time to get good at the game, so instead of that, they just download cheats and go ruin it for everybody else. And they hop on for 3 hours once a week, and they just go shit on people.
The other thing they need to do is they need to figure out how to detect fucking striker packs on controllers. I don't know how you're gonna do that one, but figure it out.
It's never gonna happen.
Striker packs are fucking AIDS.
Well, Mythic used to have a modded controller. So moving on.
Yeah, but it wasn't a fucking striker pack that gave me aimbot.
Well,
it just made me shoot fast.
So the next point I have here now, this is what I assume is going to be Mythic's biggest point of contention with me because we've had many discussions about this, but the server performance in this game. For those of you who are uninitiated as to what this means, this is the amount of times that the server refreshes data between the physical computer, we're going to call it a computer, it's a server that hosts the lobby that we're all playing in, back and forth between that and your computer or your Xbox or PlayStation or whatever you're playing on. That happens 20 times per second. It's not enough because if you have a weapon which fire rate is higher than, well, what's 20 times 60, whatever that is, if your weapon fires faster than 20 times 60, you will be bundling multiple bullets together in one instance of that server refresh, which leads to more inconsistent time to kill than otherwise would exist in this game. It's called super bullets. Did you see the cat?
Yes.
Yeah, he's cute, isn't he?
Gohan's eyes.
I didn't even like see it. I just saw the corner of my eye. I was like, "What is that?" It
Yeah.
caught my- sorry.
I saw the cat, and then I just saw Gohan's eyes. Of like, what is behind you, Boopsy?
So this
Holy shit.
this phenomenon isn't new. It used to happen in CS:GO, even when they had 64 tick servers, which is why Valorant came out with 128 tick servers, and everyone switched to Valorant. The higher tick your servers are, the less of a problem this becomes. But there will always be perceived latency or perceived lag on an internet connection because of there will always be like a delay between what the server sees and what you see, which is what people attribute to lag, even though it's just the nature of video gaming online. But
So
that could be it could be lessened by a significant degree if they paid for anything more than the bare minimum server tick rate that Amazon wireless servers provide, which is 20 hertz. Which they, of course, do not. $6 million a day in microtransactions, by the way. Keep giving them money for your fucking lifeguard outfit so they can fuck us in the ass with a shit game. Moving on.
Bro, I look fly as fuck.
Cool.
Do you know how good I look?
You know who else looks
in my
fly as fuck? Bobby Kotick in his fucking 7th helicopter. He looks fly as fuck, laughing his ass off on his way down to Tahiti while we're playing on fucking 1997's fucking internet infrastructure. We're playing on Russian servers for fucking Warzone. Putin's laughing his ass off because he's got a fucking contract with Activision to give us the worst fucking internet experience I've seen since my grandmother had fucking dial-up and you couldn't take a phone call while I'm shopping, while I'm playing addictinggames.com. You can't take a fucking phone. Anyway, okay, so anyone else have something to say about this?
So server refreshes 20 times per second, correct?
Yes.
So that would mean 1,200 times per minute.
Yes.
So if your gun shoots faster than 1,200 rounds per minute, right? That means, therefore, multiple bullets would get wrapped into one bundle, correct? Right?
Or, which the biggest place I noticed this was during the burst meta. So with burst weapons, you can't take RPM into account because of the delay between bullets. So like the AUG, the reason you used to get one framed by the AUG is because all 3 of those bullets would register one time. So you'd get hit by 3 bullets at once, which, I mean, I get it, it's a burst weapon, but like you should, it should be 1, 2, 3 hitting you, and like you should see, oh, I just took 3 bits of damage, I'm getting bursted at, instead of just getting fucking 2 tapped by an AUG from across the map and dying in 3 frames.
You've made this argument several times. So, but I'm stupid, right? So, I'm the average listener to this podcast, okay? So, give me an example that's not the burst meta, a current meta example of when this happens or when this is relevant. I'm not trying to argue
it's more prevalent. So when you take ping into account, it becomes more of an issue. So I never get less than 50 milliseconds ping on Warzone. For whatever reason. I live next to the biggest city in the country, which is New York City.
Servers often.
True, but I play solos and this happens to me all the time too, connecting to New York City or Philadelphia servers. So, with 50 milliseconds ping, I haven't done the math to figure out exactly how many ticks I'm missing in those 50 milliseconds, but basically between the delay between a tick, so 1 tick to 2 ticks, 20 times per second, and the 50 milliseconds ping, there's like quite frequently where bullets will bundle together, and like, so say you're fighting a Mac 10 or what else is really high fire rate, like a MG82 or something, you're getting like 2 to 3 bullets that hit you all at the same time. So say you die to 7 shots of a MG82, right? You should, in theory, take 7 bits worth of damage. So if you went back and slowed down like to 120 frames of the 2 seconds it took you to die to that MG82, you should be able to look at your health bar and watch it go down in 7 different increments until you're dead. But that's not the way it works all the time, because there are like the way that it works out with the timing of the ticks is that sometimes you will see all 7 of those. If he starts shooting the exact second a tick starts and your ping is low enough, you'll register each of those 7 shots. But sometimes if you have more than like X amount of ping or whatever, you'll get like, instead of 7 shots to kill you, you'll register 3 bits of damage and you'll be dead. So it'll feel like you just got instantly fried and you had no time to respond to it.
Just gotta be honest, man. I don't know that matters. Like,
it does,
So-
because it does
Well,
in
why?
a game that has low time to kill, it does matter, because the more time you have to say, hey, I'm getting shot, I need to react to this, the more outplay potential exists in the game's meta.
that's
But if
fair,
you're
but,
just
like,
if you're just dying to the idea of a gunshot, there's no outplay potential.
that's fair, and like, you know, sure, we could say it could be better. That's a fair argument for sure. But if those bullets probably would have hit you anyway, so it doesn't make enough of a difference, because like your brain doesn't work that fast. It takes time to comprehend stuff. So like if they're gonna hit you with all those shots anyways, it doesn't matter, right?
In some
I mean,
instances,
for
it
the most
probably
part,
doesn't.
no.
But
I think for the most part it does. Like
in
there might be
some
a few-
instances, it could matter though, because if you say you're like jiggle peeking a corner or like crouch spamming behind cover or whatever, and somebody starts lighting you up and you don't even know you've been shot until they've landed 3 bullets already, that could be the difference between you having time to crouch down and miss that 5th and 6th bullet that would have killed you or not. You know what I
that's
mean?
fair, but
So those are the times that it absolutely does matter.
So
then you know,
where
like, if you're aware
okay.
of this, just don't do that, right? Like,
So
I mean, I'm
just
not, I'm
don't
not,
play the
that's not a-
game.
like,
Yeah, that's what I'm
not a
doing.
solution either. That's not a solution. Like, it could be better for sure. I'm with you there, but like, to do this to the extent of like that, you have this gripe about the game, where like this is a big one for you. We've had this conversation several times off the podcast. So like, don't allow that to be the issue, right? I mean, you can't always prevent it. It's a battle royale. Random stuff happens all the freaking time. You'll get shot from in your back without you ever knowing, right? But to do like, I just think you can prevent this from happening as often as you feel it does. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
I'm not trying to sit here and say that every time I die it's because of that.
No,
It's
I know.
just
I'm
the fact
saying
that,
we've had
like,
this conversation plenty.
That you
Like,
can feel like, okay, so the reason, have you ever noticed this? Does it feel to you like it takes longer for you to kill somebody with an AMAX than it takes you to die to an AMAX? Have you ever had that experience?
yeah.
That's due to a low server tick rate, because information isn't passed back and forth long enough for you to, like, the time to kill. That's why the time to kill feels so inconsistent, is because the server tick rate is dog shit. So like it feels like you die quicker than you can kill people, even though that's not actually the case. That person actually shot you for the amount of time that you would have had to shoot them to kill you, but you didn't know you were getting shot until you got hit by the 3rd bullet.
But see, there's so many variables in that to just say it's like server tick rate, though. You know, like
so
you got your distance, you got your where you're hitting them at. I mean, like, hit reg is a weird thing in all shooter video games almost. Like, so like, you know, if you hit them in the freaking arm versus they hit you in the chest, like, it's, you could attribute it to that because you think you shot them in the head.
Yeah,
or
but you
something, but, like,
you can literally go in. We could go into a custom lobby, or we could load into plunder, and we could each throw in 3 plates, and I could sit here and shoot you in the head 4 times with an AK-47 and kill you, and I could record the time from my first bullet leaving my gun, or my first bullet hitting you, to the time you died on my screen, and then I could record from the first time you took damage to the time you died on your screen, and I guarantee you that time will be shorter on your screen than it is on mine.
Yeah, probably, but
It's
such a weird.
I'm not trying to say that if they improve the server tick rate, the game would be perfect. It
No,
certainly
I know.
wouldn't.
That's why it's
But-
on a list, right? I mean, like,
Yeah. But
you know,
I'm just saying it is an issue. And for this to be like an acceptable standard, like for this to be something that people look at and they're like, oh, cool, I'm playing an online shooter. It's 20 hertz server tick rate. That's good enough. It's just simply isn't. It shouldn't be an acceptable thing. Like we shouldn't be.
Chime in here too. He's been trying to
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, buddy.
Keep going.
Whenever you're
okay,
ready.
so listen here, pal. So I went to your favorite website where you get all your
TrueGameData.com.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to True
And
Game Data. Friend of the
so
podcast.
I'm not gonna say that 20 hertz is acceptable because it definitely should be higher. Like 20's like low. But for in a perfect world, would there be no like no ping? So like you're playing like a LAN event and so it's like 0 ping and it'd be so if the server refreshes 20 times per second, therefore that's 100 or 1200 times per minute, right? So that means any gun that shoots higher than 1200 rounds per minute in a 0 ping lobby, like you should detect every one of those bullets, right?
In a 0 ping lobby, yes.
So where I feel like this, like, so why I'm saying like you're right, it should be higher is because like the only gun that reaches close to 1200 rounds per minute is the Mac 10 at 1118 rounds per minute.
But when you factor in ping, it becomes more of an issue. And okay, so the next point kind of compounds with this. So if you'll allow me before we wrap up this discussion point, because I think this is important to take into consideration, I'll move on to this. The aggressive engagement optimized matchmaking, which is what is commonly referred to as skill-based matchmaking, makes it so that your ping is higher than it normally would be. So if I was playing solos, I should be connecting to one of two servers, which are the closest servers to me. I get about 30 milliseconds ping to New York City and about 28 to the Philadelphia one. Now, not once in my playing of this game career have I ever connected to either one of those servers, even when I'm playing solos. And the reason for that is this game doesn't matchmake you based on your lowest latency, which would be the correct way to do it, especially if you have a dogshit server infrastructure like this one does. The way it matchmakes you is by some sort of algorithm that takes into account the amount of time you've played in the last 10 days, your KD, and it tries to match you up and give you an experience that is fair or balanced or whatever the fuck their goal is, right? So you never end up connecting to the server that is the best latency for you. You end up connecting to a server that is the best latency for all the people in the same skill bracket as you who are on this side of the country. So I'm connecting to Georgia servers with a bunch of people who are all across the East Coast because it's the lowest common denominator for 150 people that Activision has determined belong in a lobby together. So they could mitigate this issue I have by taking out their matchmaking system and just having it be based on ping. So if I only ever connected while I'm queuing by myself to the servers that are closest to me, this would be much less of an issue. It would cut the amount of times that happens in half, because instead of always having 60 plus ping, I would have around 30 ping all the time, which would cut literally in half the amount of latency I experience in game. But they don't do that because I don't know why. Because they think people want to play CDL fucking quals every time they load up the fucking video game.
Well, I agree to the point you're making that those two things compounded together can cause more issues. Absolutely. You were not wrong. I agree. But the reason they have to do that is because while people like us, we're somewhere like in the big spectrum of like
we're in the
Warzone
top.
skill.
We're in the top. All three of us are above the top 20%.
Okay, but in reality,
the
that's
players of this game.
skill-wise, it's somewhere in the middle because there's a lot more players below us than there is above us. So like skill-wise, we're somewhere in the middle, and there's still a lot of people above us. So
yeah, well, we're in the top 20%.
People like
so
us wouldn't care if the matchmaking. Sometimes we had freaking bot lobbies, which we do anyways. But like if it would happen more often, if say you had bot lobbies more often because it was putting you with people closer to you or whatever, right? We wouldn't care because we'd be stomping people. But those people that we're playing against, I'm just playing devil's advocate here too, because it's a weird subject, but those people are gonna get mad because they're playing against us. They're gonna be like, you're gonna have Johnny, who plays every night after school or something, like with his 0.75 KD, who's gonna hate playing against us because he thinks we're insane. Whereas, if it puts you in the lobby and you have like the average lobby KD is above 1.5, which is pretty high. I mean, like I said, in the wide spectrum of things, then that's like it'd be insane for him. Like he can't.
So
it's such a weird balance, man. I don't know how to fix it.
I hear you, but did you read my sub point to this optimized engagement, optimized matchmaking? Because what I've said here, I think, kind of is the counter argument to that. So what I wrote here is. Yeah. This makes for a gameplay loop that is unfulfilling and leads to an experience where you cannot reasonably make meaningful improvements to your gameplay because shit players, like the ones Gohan was just referring to, will primarily go up against other shit players, leaving little room for to learn from your opponent. So I'm playing a game currently called Escape from Tarkov. There's no skill-based matchmaking in Escape from Tarkov, and I'm bad at it, right? But I'm getting better every time I load up the game because I'm playing against people who have 3,000 hours in the game when I have 300. And I'm learning from them, and I'm learning from my mistakes and how I think about the way I died to them, and I make meaningful improvements to my gameplay strategy based off of the better players that I'm playing against. And this is the same thing I did in Rainbow Six Siege when I was climbing ranks with you fucking guys a year and a half ago. I was playing with you guys who were higher skilled than me, so I was going against players who were better than me, and I was learning a lot every time I loaded into a game because I was playing against people who are better than me. So if you want to have a game where you can actually like make meaningful improvement, you need to go. You can't just fucking hold people's hand, dude. It just makes for a shit gameplay loop. Because like, if little Johnny, so. Sure, little Johnny can achieve his 0.7 KD going against a bunch of other players who also have a 0.7 KD, right? But he's never going to improve past that playing this game because he's never going to have to fucking face people who are better than him. So he's never going to have to think smarter, do anything better. His aim will never have to improve. If he's content with that 0.7, he can just keep going against the same fucking garbage cans he always has, and it's not the way to think about this. Like, you can protect the casuals all you want. That's fine. But so in my opinion, the way skill-based matchmaking should work is, I agree, the lowest of low as far as skill-based goes should be protected from us. So somebody who literally who has like a physical disability, and I'm not trying to hurt feelings or be offensive here, but if there's somebody who doesn't have hands and they play this game with a joystick on their left foot and a fucking pedal on their right foot, that if you push the pedal down, some of them are. Shout out to Rocky No Hands, dude. Rocky No Hands on Twitch. Yeah. This dude's literally better than I am, and he plays with a tube in his mouth that he blows on, and it's one of his input controls because he's a quadriplegic. He's nasty at this game. Wild. But there are people out there who are actually physically impaired who should be protected from getting stomped on by Nick Mercs and fucking Huskers. I agree with that. But I don't think that anyone who, like, I just think you should have two skill-based brackets. You should have 0.4 and below and everybody else, because that would still allow for enough players that I could connect to the server that would give me the lowest latency and the best gameplay experience. And I'm not looking to pub stomp lobbies. If I wanted to do that, I would just download a VPN. It's that simple. I wouldn't be bitching about skill-based matchmaking because it's easy to get around. What I want is a fucking low ping experience so I can play the video game and have fun. I don't want to pub stomp. I want to fucking go against all sorts of different players and have a good time.
It's such a hard... There's just not really a good solution, man. Like, it just doesn't... That solves your problem.
That solves every problem.
It causes a lot of problems, dude.
How?
Like, because the people that you're talking about that can improve, the fact of the matter is, a lot of them are really young. And if you compare the way that we played video games when we were young to now, it's more of maturity than it is just skill. Like, some people are just really good, right? But those kids that are just kind of bad, they're either never going to be good, so they need to be in a low lobby, or they're just not aware enough of what's happening in the game like, have you ever went back and played a game you played when you were a kid that was like you thought was really hard?
I didn't really play games as a kid, but before we go any further into this, why does it have to be that everyone has to be like competitive? Like, why do we have to hand out participation trophies to these people? If you have a 0.7 KD, you're dog shit. I have a 1.1, I'm dog shit. I don't care, dude. Just play the fucking game. Get better. Improve over time. I didn't start off at a 1.1 skill. I didn't start off at the same skill level I am today when I started playing games on PC. I worked my way up to it. But I didn't get there by going against people who also couldn't fucking aim.
Right.
I got there going against people better than me. I understand, but
like,
dude, we live in this fucking Nerf ball piece of shit world where everyone gets a fucking participation trophy, and it's such horse shit, dude. Just fucking open the lobbies up, give me the lowest latency possible, let me play the fucking video game. It's that simple.
I mean, it's just so weird. Like, you can't please everybody. You can't do it. You never can. You never will. So you have to pick a side. Do you pick the side that keeps more people engaged and wanting to play, not because they don't have anything else to do, or because not everybody wants to get better either. You're assuming people want to improve. Some people enjoy. We've watched so many solos, dude, either on videos or just when we're bored or whatever, and people enjoy going to prison, getting a most wanted, and sitting in that tower the entire game.
You can do that in a lobby where there's also 1.2 KD people. You certainly can. I do it sometimes. You certainly
have to, because we have to though. But we have the skill to defend ourselves against those people chasing us. They don't.
It doesn't matter, dude. You let them get shit on. Find a different fucking hobby. If you're that dog shit and you don't want to improve, go fucking knit or something, dude.
So, okay. So, wait. Pause. So, solution to make everybody happy. So, what if they added, like, they left, like, regular, like, quads, trios, solos, whatever, like, that BR alone, right? That, like, boom, that's there, right? Next tab over. There's a competitive section. Call it whatever the fuck you want it. And then there you matchmake with people with your host's lowest latency server. So if me and Boopsy and Gohan, I want to go play, we're playing on Boopsy server. So I'm going to have 75,000 ping because I live on the fucking West Coast. Boopsy lives in fucking Seattle, or not Seattle, New York. Like,
it should be the exact opposite of what you're saying. So the ranked lobby shouldn't be the lowest latency. The ranked lobby should be the most competitive matchmaking experience based on KD. So if that's what you're going to do, and then the casual lobby should not take into account any skill whatsoever, except for maybe you protect the 0.5 and belows who are actually disabled. Not trying to be offensive, it's just the word that is describing what I'm talking about here. And you put them in their separate matchmaking pool, and you put everybody else in another one, and you connect to the lowest server latency possible. But once you introduce ranked, which is always dead in every battle royale I've ever played, Apex Legends ranked was dead, PUBG ranked was dead, Fortnite ranked is, I don't even fucking know.
It's pretty common. Like, now it used to be dead, but like now people like it. But
I agree with what you're saying, Mythic, but you have to flip the scenario. So you put the low latency in the casual game mode, right? Because there shouldn't be any skill based matchmaking if we're talking a casual playlist, right? Because if these kids who have a 0.7 wanted to have a balanced gameplay experience where they're going against other dog shit players, they could queue up for rank and go against other dog shit players. Right? That's what people do in Siege. If you're bronze, you don't want to go into fucking casual because you'll be facing diamonds for some fucking reason. So you go play ranked and you play with other dog shit bronzes and smurfs from fucking Plat 3. That's what you do.
Are you calling me out right now in the middle of the podcast?
I certainly am. No, that's just the reality of things. That's how you separate ranked matchmaking from normal matchmaking. Now, am I advocating for a ranked playlist in Warzone? Of course not. I'm advocating for latency-based matchmaking for the majority of the community. And then people who are actually dog shit, actually fucking homeless, don't have hands, can have their own queue. So your 4-year-old
Like-
nephew can go against some other guy's 4-year-old nephew in their own queue, and then everybody else who's at least competent enough to fucking hold an angle and hold L2 and R2 at the same fucking time can play against each other. It's that simple.
I don't know. I hate skill-based matchmaking as much as the next guy, but there's a reason for it, and it's not going to go anywhere.
The reason for it is that it makes Activision money.
But it's in every game though. Like so to the
Yeah, because they
to
all
the
sell
point of
cosmetics and it
skill-based
makes them money.
yeah, but every reason for getting rid of skill-based matchmaking is selfish to the person arguing, right? To a degree.
It gives every player lower ping. Every player
But
in my
it's
lobby
selfish
has a
because you
better
want the
ping.
lower ping. Yeah,
Every player should want lower ping. If they knew what they were
But
talking about, they
the
would be
reason-
advocating for that too.
the reason for skill-based matchmaking is
So they
selfish
can make
to the
more money.
company. It's selfish to the company. So that's why it's never going to go anywhere. So everybody, including us, should stop arguing about it because it's not going to go anywhere.
The only reason
it's
I
never
even
going anywhere.
the only reason this is even in there is because of the tick rate issue, and this just compounds on top of it. That's the only reason I even put it in here.
I'm just saying that like it's just a dead argument. You're beating a dead horse. That's it. You're not winning or losing anybody that ever argues about it. You're just not.
I've conceded to just go play a game that doesn't have skill-based matchmaking. So that's what I'm doing with my life. Is there anything else anyone wants to add on this subject before we move on?
Nope.
All right. So this is my kind of my last point, but it encompasses a bunch of smaller points. It's the main point here is lazy game design. Now, this is the most opinion-based thing on this list, and I put it at the end for a reason. In my opinion, we'll go through these one by one. So the first one is map design. So in my opinion, the map is designed very poorly. Verdansk 84, everything we've had in Warzone, with the exception of Rebirth. I think Rebirth is fine for what it is. But both iterations of Verdansk have been poorly designed. There are too many tall buildings, which incentivizes shit gameplay, a la people sitting on top of 17-story roofs with Ghost and Claymores and snipers.
You said we're going one by one, right? So you're done.
One by one. Yep. Anyone have any thoughts on this? Anyone want to defend Verdansk?
I'm not going to defend it, and I don't know if Mythics is or not, but you can't argue that point. You just can't. It's that one is not even opinion based. That one's just a fact. If you argue it, you are the person sitting on top of the freaking plaza in downtown with Ghost and a sniper looking at the entire map. You are that person if you're arguing against this.
There needs to be a better way for you to get challenged.
Yeah,
Because
like there being a 3-story building instead of a 31.
Yeah,
anything bigger than green shouldn't exist in the game. Change my mind.
And there shouldn't be a ladder.
I would say
that-
red. Red's a little bit. The red buildings now are a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
They used to be blue, I think, but
there's only one way up to red, so I exclude that from my
square.
You have to go up that one dumbass ladder and that one dumbass staircase that you can hold from the fucking.
Yeah, those are stupid. Like the fact that I can go up a flight of stairs and it's like, oh, here's a ladder for you to climb. They have to look in one exact place because they hear you going clink, 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 clink up the ladder because you can't slow walk because you're on a fucking PC.
Just use dead silence, dude.
I mean, sure, but still makes noise when you climb ladders with dead silence. Even if you hit a zip, you still have dead silence. Or if you hit a zip with dead silence, yeah.
Just call in an airstrike, dude. It's that simple. They won't hear anything.
True.
Yeah. No, I'm being facetious here.
Yeah, I totally get it, but like I feel like there should be multiple ways up to the top of a building. Like
at least
like
two. And if you take in the siege map design theory, there's got to be 3 for it to be good.
Yeah.
That's almost always true in Siege.
There's got to be 3 ways to the top of every building.
Yep.
And then if it's a bigger building, there should be like 7. Like plaza should have at least 70 ways up to the top.
There should always be more ways up to the top than the amount of people in your squad who can hold an angle.
Yep.
Or the amount of
Because-
claymores that you can set down.
Or even like, I think 3 is enough, to be honest, because
for the
so-
smaller buildings, yes. For like Nakatomi Plaza, fuck no. There needs to be 5.
I would argue.
Or for like
I would
top
argue-
airport, there should be like 7.
there's
Yeah.
not enough
Top
for
super should
airport
have
either.
like 6 ways up.
There
But
there
in
should
most
be one on
situations-
there should be one on every side of the building for top airport and like 3 on like the long sides.
And
there
there,
should
there
be-
needs to be more at top airport than just the zip lines too, because that's stupid.
There
Zip
should
lines are
literally be
fucking
a staircase on the outside of every building and a staircase on the inside of every building, and then zip lines.
Yeah.
Like
But
you know
They
how
need
you
to
know how
change those zip lines too.
you know
dude.
how
I don't-
Virgin is. We're not on Twitch, so we can say Virgin. You know how
Have they
Virgin
hands?
is. How
Yeah.
they have 2 outside staircases and then like a zip
Uh-huh.
line. I think if every building was like that, where it had 2 staircases up and a zip line, that it would be pretty good.
And I wouldn't be upset even if Virgin had like a staircase in the middle. I wouldn't be mad about that.
Now Virgin needs to be half the height it is, of course.
Yeah.
Also,
but like
but-
But like, I
Just-
wouldn't be mad about a staircase in the middle of Virgin with the 2 on the side and and like there's like 1 on like the opposing sides, so like catty corner of the zips, right?
yeah.
So there's
But
like 2 staircases and then a zip like on one set, and then on the other set there's the other zip. So like slap staircase in the middle of that, because then I don't know, it's dumb, I think. But anyways,
Yeah,
like, there should
map
be
design.
more-
It's the worst. It's the most poorly designed map of any battle royale. I played a couple games of Ring of Elysium earlier this week, and that map is better designed than Warzone. Now that game has been dead since the month it came out, and if you queue up for it, you'll get nothing but bots. It's kind of fun. I dropped like 27 kills in one game.
I was
solo
watching
squads.
you play that, dude, and like
Dude, I wish that game was popular. It's so much fun.
there was these guys were literally. I mean, I don't know. Are they just straight up bots? Like actually?
From
you
what I
think-
found, it was about 60% of the lobby was actual AI.
Okay, that makes sense. Because these AI were literally just, they would walk up to a tree, stand and stare at the tree, then just look at Boopsy and shoot and miss every shot. He'd look back at them. They would like strafe behind the tree for like a second, and then come back out and he would just fry them every time.
I dropped 27 kills in a solo squad, and I was the only person who extracted. Ring of Elysium, if the servers were populated, would actually be my favorite battle royale right now. By the way, just a side note, that game's fucking sick. It's just no one plays it.
It seemed pretty like, it seemed like, honestly, it seemed like a blend somewhere between Warzone and like a PUBG.
It's like a first-person H1Z1. If you ever played H1Z1, that's
I've
what
never
it,
played it, but I know it. Yeah,
that's what it reminds me. It's like H1Z1 with better graphics and better gunplay and first person. It's incredible, honestly, but it's just, for whatever reason, it's just dead. All right, so that's enough on map design. I think we got a couple more points to get through, and we're already running a little bit long here. So
Really
unless
good at
anyone
that.
has anything crazy they want to add,
No, like
all right, moving on.
what we said. Yep.
All right, so the perks. This is my next point. The perks in this game, for the most part, at least the ones that people run, are unbalanced, and they lead to a lack of diversity in options due to their unbalanced nature. And it also incentivizes rap gameplay a la Ghost and restock with like restock claymores and stuff like that. That can be real ratty on those tall buildings. Perks. I could see a world in which perks are balanced and like a fun addition to the game, but that is not the world that we live in. So I dislike them basically on principle. Thoughts?
They gotta go, man. In my opinion, we've had this conversation several times. Boopsy and I playing duos. They just have to go. There's no reason. There's no reason to have them. The only perk you need is overkill, so you can have 2 primaries. So then just let people make a class with 2 primary weapons and forget about it. There's no reason to have Ghost in a game where like buying UAVs is accessible as it is. Like, you just don't. I mean, so get rid of Ghost, make UAVs a little bit more expensive, so you can't just buy a billion of them every game like we do, and then you're going to be a lot better off. Like, there's no reason for Ghost. EOD is stupid. If I throw something at you and it blows up on you, you should die. Like, what's the restock, dude? Restock has been the meta lately. It's just
I like restock.
It doesn't make any sense. Why? You should have to pick those up, or maybe people just like, if you kill somebody and you're running stuns, maybe you can just get some stuns from your kills or something. Like, but to just have them for free is stupid. There's never ever a situation where that makes any sense.
I'm calling it right now. The next iteration of Warzone, when the new game comes out, they're gonna change the perks to the new game's perks, and there's gonna be a ninja / dead silence perk, and that's what everyone's gonna run. You'll never hear a footstep again. I'm calling it right now. Clip it and ship it.
There's no way, man.
So
there's no way.
It'd be really cool if they added back in like SitRep Pro, like, because with SitRep Pro you could hear people who are dead silenced. That was gangster as fuck.
But then it just leads to the same issue where, like, so there's no point in having perks if the only perks if you're gonna run the same perks by default every time, then they might as well just not exist in the game. You know what I mean? So like, if all you're ever gonna run is Ghost, Amped, and fucking whatever the other fucking one is that people run.
Overkill. Yeah. Those three are on this exact same, like, second perk slot too.
No, Amped is in the third perk slot.
Oh wait, which one's the restock one? Or restock?
Restock and Ghost. Yeah. All right.
Restock, Ghost, and Overkill are all the second perk slot.
Yeah. And those are the only perks you really need. Well, you really only need Overkill. Nothing else should. I agree with Gohan here. Nothing else should. Perks should be taken out of the game, and they should just open up the loadout mechanic to allow for whatever weapon you want.
That'd be similar to every other battle royale, where you can just have your selection of weapons, which you should be able to do. So if you want to have the loadout mechanic, which I like, Boopsy has his things about that.
You'll notice it's not on the list of things I hate about this game. It's not there. I wrote it. I talked about the loadouts and the things I like about.
Old man.
Yeah, I talked about the loadouts and the things we like about the game. There are disadvantages to the loadouts, but all in all, I think it's a net positive to the game. I think there is more positive brought to the game than negative with the loadout mechanic.
Hey, Boopsy, do me a favor. Can you count to 3?
1, 2, 3.
All right, good. So look under lazy game design. You got 1 map design, 2 perks where we're at.
Oh, true. Okay. So this is okay. I did put loadout mechanic here, but if you read beyond this, there's more to it than just the loadouts in themselves.
Okay. Yeah, fair.
So but anyways, we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there.
Just let people run their weapons. You can do it. You can grab whatever weapons you want in any battle royale ever. So just let people do it. It doesn't hurt the game. It only helps. It gets rid of a bunch of stuff that just doesn't need to be there.
What if they made, like, it was like $9,000 to buy an advanced UAV? So it's like 1,000 more, but you can pocket it.
I think if you take Ghost out, you make all of that more expensive, UAV wise.
Okay, but like, let's say, like, because not everybody is just casually rolling around with $9,000, right?
Yeah,
you are every time I die in my gulag, so
that's $20,000. Get it right. But anyways, but like, so the point still stands of like if that was more expensive, so it's more expensive than buying 3 individual UAVs. So if you're playing like if you're playing like duos, I can pocket an advanced UAV. So if we want to
your math's wrong there. An advanced UAV now costs 12,000, but you can't pocket it. So if you're wanting to be more expensive, then it needs to be 13.
15.
And an advanced
let me buy a specialist bonus for $50,000.
To get an advanced UAV, you have to call in 3 UAVs, so 4, 8, 12.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So make it $15,000. I had the numbers wrong in my head because I was like, it shouldn't be more expensive than a loadout. But yeah, so like make it $15,000. Everything I just said still applies, but then you can pocket it, and then Ghost isn't a problem because it reveals people who are ghosted.
And then that should be the only way to get the advanced UAV. Then you can't call in 3 UAVs at once and get it. I don't think if you do that.
No, like not at all. Like no, therefore it should be. I think if you're gonna make an advanced UAV worth 1,500, and then you shouldn't be able to call in 3. You should be able to call
Yeah.
in like I think the call in 4
Yeah. It just needs. It
because
doesn't even need to be 15. If you make it 13, but you can pocket it, like as long as it's more expensive than whatever it costs to call it in right now, that's all it needs to be.
yeah, and
that
then
one also lasts longer though. If we're talking about the advanced UAV that you get out of like the red doors, that one lasts like 3 times as long.
yeah.
So I
that's what
think
was
it should
saying,
be
like,
significantly more expensive, like at least 15.
yeah.
Fair.
If
Like,
it's
yeah,
that version of it.
So if you keep like so if it's the long version with advanced UAV, you can pocket it and like make that 15 and make it what 12. It's 12 grand to call an advanced UAV, which only lasts like what, a minute, if that, 30
30
seconds.
seconds. 30
Yeah,
seconds.
so it lasts 30 seconds. The 30 seconds of advanced UAV for spending 12,000, or you get an extra 2 grand or 3 grand, my bad, and you can pocket it and use it when you want to.
Fair.
That's fine. We should still take Ghost and all other perks out of the game, though. All right. Is that everything everyone has to say before we get on to Gohan's favorite point of the night?
Sure.
If you have more, now's the time. All right. So, what I have written down here is loadout mechanic. What I really mean is the way at which you unlock and level progress weapons. But I couldn't think of a better way to write it than the loadout mechanic, because that's where this all stems from. So, the loadout mechanic, in essence, turns a free-to-play model into a de facto pay-to-win / pay for an advantage system due to the new weapons and leveling of said weapons being mainly tied to their premium titles, Cold War and MDub, for example. Now, I'm well aware that there are ways to level the guns in Plunder, and you can unlock the guns in Plunder and shit like that, but I'm specifically thinking of when I went to go unlock the nail gun, and it took me exactly an hour and 15 minutes in Cold War, and it would have taken me probably, I don't know, how long's a match at Plunder? 20 minutes, and I would have had to do that 15 times. It probably would have taken me 4 hours in regular Warzone if I didn't own Cold War to do it.
Right.
Because there's no chance you're getting that done in an actual match of Battle Royale. You had to kill 5 people with a... You had to kill 5 people
Plunder,
with a special
honestly.
weapon. What?
With the enemy, it'd be hard to do in Plunder, honestly. With
It would be, it'd be nearly impossible to do either way, and it would take you 4 to 5 times longer, even if you were able to do it successfully every game you loaded into. So for like things like that, it just makes it kind of borderline like ridiculous. So if you don't own Cold War in Modern Warfare, you're at a significant disadvantage when like new guns come out, because they always come out busted and then get nerfed within like a week, or at least with Raven at the helm. If it was still Infinity Ward, it would be a month and a half. But so basically, if you don't have the means to unlock those within the first week, you're at a severe disadvantage for that amount of time at least. And you remain to be at a disadvantage regardless, because those new guns, like power creep exists in this game, right? The Cold War weapons are all better than MDub weapons, and the new game's weapons will all be better than Cold War weapons, because they want you to buy the new fucking game and, you know, spend money and get the new weapons and shit. So yeah, that's one of my gripes. Now, I don't really care about this, because like this, in my opinion, would be the most reasonable way to monetize your free-to-play battle royale. Like, all their weapon skins and shit are like whatever. I don't care about those. So I don't actually mind buying the games every year, so long as I'm enjoying my time in the battle royale, because it's a good way to like support the developers if that's what I wanted to do. Now, I don't want to support them because I hate this game, but if I did enjoy the game, I wouldn't have a problem spending $60 a year for a game, because that's pretty reasonable.
I don't, again, this is definitely a fair complaint, but I mean, what do you do? If you want, you can't have it all. If you want to be free to play, you can always level the guns up in Warzone. So like the nail gun, of course, and unlocking some of them if you don't unlock them in the battle pass is definitely weird. But if you do have them unlocked, you can't just play. Sure, you're at a slight disadvantage, but like even like some snipers. Like I've leveled up the car only in Warzone. Like
Yeah.
not even plunder. Like I mean,
It takes a long time, but it's doable. But it's you're paying for the advantage of having an easier time leveling weapons, essentially.
yeah, it's technically pay to win.
It's pay for it's not pay to win. You don't. It's not like you win games because you own Cold
Yeah,
War,
and
but you're
pay for
paying for the
advantage.
advantage. You know.
It's
So
technically
which
pay for advantage, but
which
like,
is fine. That same, to be fair, that same mechanic exists in Tarkov. I own the highest edition of Tarkov, which gives me more stash space, which makes my time at leveling easier than someone who owns the base edition of the game. I'm not against a pay for an advantage system, like by its own merit, so long as it's done like reasonably well. Which I think this is actually a fairly reasonable way to have like a pay for an advantage. It's better than buying fucking weapon crates and having RNG drops on paid weapon crates or whatever to unlock guns. So this could be worse, but it is a point of contention I could see members of the community having with the game, and I think it's a valid point of contention for a lot of people, especially when this is touted as like a free to play game.
I'd like to hear somebody that has a different opinion. Maybe like I don't know if you have a different opinion or not, but
I mean, it makes sense, like in my mind, like as the consumer of the game, like you can go play the game completely 100% for free, right? And if you want to level these guns, you can make money by by paying, or so the company makes money by incentivizing, like, hey, you can go use the car or whatever for um
third of the
MDub,
time.
and yeah. So, or like even like the Cold War guns, like we knew at some point that they were going to start phasing out the MDub guns, and the Cold War guns were going to get better. Like we all saw that coming. We weren't shocked. Like when they put in that huge buff to every Cold War weapon ever, everybody's like, makes sense. Nobody was like, wow, that's so crazy. Why would they do that? Like,
So
I,
what?
in,
Again, I'm not trying to say that this is like a predatory mechanic or anything by default, but if you look at the model of like most free to play games, specifically most free to play battle royales, you don't have to pay to unlock like the weapons that you use. This is specific to Warzone because of the loadout mechanic, which is the only reason loadout mechanic is even in this point. It's not a problem I have with the loadouts, it's a problem I have with the progression in the game, essentially. And it's not even like, I can't think of a better way for them to do it. I just think there are people who are certainly getting boned by this. I'm not one of them.
I think
But
the only
like,
way to quote unquote fix it, because I mean it's not really broken, it's not super necessary,
no,
would be, and it already is
it
to an
is what it
extent,
is.
but you'd have to get more XP in Warzone for weapons, which you already do, but like even more. You know what I'm saying? Like to just something to level the time a little bit, and then it would literally wouldn't even be an issue. But it's not even like that big of a deal.
Yeah,
like,
this is literally, there's a reason this is like towards the end of the list, is because it's not that big of a deal. But I think it's worth mentioning at least.
but like it also like, so like when I got like really into Warzone, like after like MDub came out, and like at this point I had platinum SMGs, most of my ARs like completely leveled up. Warzone came out, or like Warzone has been out for like half a season, and then I eventually like started playing it, and I was instantly like rewarded for playing prior. Does it make sense? Like I could go use a Car 98K, or I could go use my like AX50 or HDR guns that I have spent time, like I invested lots of time to get those guns gold. Like that didn't just happen. And so I got those guns gold, but I was instantly rewarded when I got into like Warzone. So
Yeah, at least it's cross progression.
Yeah,
I think
but
that's what you're trying to get to.
rewarded for putting the time in. You were, but you also had to buy the game to receive that reward too. You know what I mean? So you
yeah,
had
but
to
it's not like I
own.
owned it's not like I owned the game prior, and then it was like, oh, by the way, you got to go read through this entire like leveling system.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I know,
your point,
but
there's at least cross progression's a thing. So like all this is even
well,
possible.
of course, it would have to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have to be. But all right. Is there anything else anyone has to say on this?
No.
All right. So we're gonna go through this one real quick. Dead silence, stopping power, broken stuns, and kill streaks in general should not exist in the game, in my opinion. Now, the only thing I expect you guys to have contention with here is kill streaks, because I know you like your UAVs. In my opinion, and we've talked about this in the past. I'm not sure if we talked about this on the podcast or not. I know I've spoken with Gohan about it. You wouldn't need UAVs if the suppressor wasn't the only viable attachment for an AR or really any gun. If you're not running a mono or an agency suppressor, you're kind of throwing. If that wasn't the case, you wouldn't need UAVs, especially if they took ghosts out of the game. You wouldn't need UAVs at all, so you could just do away with everything from the buy station except for a loadout. And you could even do away with the loadout buys if you just like the only way to get your loadout was like, you know, it dropped a loadout like once every 5 minutes or something. And if you didn't have perks in the game, that wouldn't even be unbalanced, because it's not like you would get ghost for free, because you would just get your one loadout and then you'd just be chilling with your loadout. And the only reason you'd ever have to go to another one is if you went to the gulag, which we will of course get into the gulag here in a moment. But I think honestly, if you know, if you took out dead silence, you took out stopping power, you took out ghost, you took out stuns, you took out kill streaks, I think the game would just be better off for it, provided with the UAV thing, provided that ghost doesn't exist, and B, the suppressor isn't the only viable option to run as a AR attachment.
Yeah. Well, I agree with almost all of this. You know, I could definitely see people listening to this that are like going to hate. You know, you're taking everything
can
out
hate
of the
me.
game.
I don't care.
You're taking it. You're taking everything out of the game, but it's to make the game better, and I think it would, for the most part. You know, I mean, dead silence is as good as it feels whenever you make a play with dead silence, and it's fun. I enjoy it. It's also, when it happens to you, it is the worst possible feeling in the world, because there's nothing you could have done. There's nothing. If they come up behind you with dead silence, there's nothing you do. Nothing.
Could have run restock claymores.
Right. Okay,
The
and
joke.
then stopping power is rare. Stopping power is worse now than it was before. Now that it's more rare, because at least when it was more common, you could. I believe it was me and Mythic talked about this just yesterday, right? When it was more common, you could. At least you could have it as well as your opponent. Like now, it's so rare that like if somebody has it, they are going to win that first gunfight no matter what.
Dude, I got deleted by Kilo the other day. That had stopping power in it.
People are still using kilos in 2021.
Yeah,
Imagine.
exactly. That's why I was
shit.
like, well, this kid laser beamed me, and I was like, oh, cool. I just got melted by a Farah. And then it was a Kilo from 600 meters out with stopping power. Him and his buddy holding hands they both had stopping power Kilos. And I'm like, first off, where did you both find stopping power? Second off, why are you still running the Kilo? Third, I got clapped. I got erased. I was dead before my ass even hit the ground to stick a stealth res in myself. Like, I died so fucking quick.
Then there's Ghost. We already talked about stuns, crowd control mechanics in any game of any first-person shooter, competitive shooter, whatever, are terrible. Siege has
Side
no
note to
problem
all
with
of
it.
this, did you guys know that stopping power was is in theory supposed to increase recoil?
It does in multiplayer.
You knew
It
that?
probably doesn't.
Yeah.
It probably does in Warzone, but everything's a laser, so it doesn't
Bugged.
matter.
It's
Is
been
it
bugged
actually?
for 6 months at least.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
ever remember that.
I'm
Probably longer than
convinced
that.
they just
I don't remember
removed
everything.
that like mechanic from stopping power. I don't even think it's actually bugged, but it was never in any patch notes, and there's a measurable difference. At one point, there was an exclusive Ace video about it like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
It's-
so in, like,
it's never been fixed.
multiplayer,
Didn't know
when
that.
you have stopping power, there's like an increase to recoil. But like, I didn't know that until like I tried it for myself, and like actually went back. I was watching an old clip of me using I don't know, some gun when the game first came out, and I had stopping power in it because I was like, these seem busted. And so like I used stopping power, and I was like, that gun has a lot of recoil, but it doesn't have that much recoil when I'm using stopping power in Warzone. Like, that was ridiculous. Like, so if they could fix that, stopping power probably would not be as strong. But like, it was from me watching an old clip, I knew. But like in Warzone, I was just like, yeah, stopping power. I'm just gun stole a beam. There's no advantage of me not having stopping power because I pick it up, or disadvantage of me having stopping power because I pick it up and I put bullets in my gun that hit harder. Like, why wouldn't you run that?
Right.
But
All right.
yeah, dead
So-
silence. It can be AIDS, stopping power. Either remove it or fix the recoil. And
Just remove
It
it.
needs to, remove it, but or it also has to be more common. It's. I think I don't remember if it was with one of you guys were talking about it. It's worse now that it's less common because there's less of a chance for you to also have it, and that sucks. So, and then crowd control, like I was saying, sucks. Like, and in any game ever, if I can't look at you, if I can't turn and look at you, then it wasn't a fair gunfight. It was stupid. Like, you got lucky that you threw a stun either before I threw one, or if I didn't even have stuns. Like, it's just dumb. I hate it.
tank out the fucking baby monitors too, where we're at it. Like,
Might
that
as
just
well. If there's-
that just incentivizes rat gameplay.
I believe me
So-
and Boopsy said this too in that same conversation, where if you take out Ghost, you also take out the heartbeat. So then you have to have UAVs to see people.
It all comes down to the fact that this is the most poorly designed game I've ever played in my life. Now,
Well, like, so there's
there's more about this game I dislike than things about this game that I like by a long shot.
There are I feel like in theory. So if you were to go did you ever play the Black Ops 4 Battle Royale?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was okay. Yeah, Boopsy.
I think it
we
was
talked about this the other
infinitely
day.
better
Boopsy
than
liked it a lot.
Warzone. It was infinitely better than Warzone.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I just didn't like.
The
a few
map
things.
was great. You could see people. The guns had recoil. You had to loot for attachments. You didn't have to
I don't
fucking.
remember the guns having recoil. I was on controller.
Yeah.
I was on a
so,
controller, nothing had recoil.
Yeah. The guns
Well,
had a
other
little
than,
bit
you
of
know-
recoil on PC. So
Just real quick to hit my opinion on Blackout, the head armor thing was dumb. That was my biggest complaint. Like, if you had head armor, you weren't losing, unless it was to a fight with somebody else. that also
you know
had head
that
armor.
that armor in Warzone it protects your head too, right?
That's fair, but everybody has it.
It's fair, but if you just loot, you get the head armor too. It's not as if it was super rare.
I didn't have that many opportunities to get it. At least I don't remember. It's been a while. Yeah,
I'd put a lot of hours into Blackout, and I
then,
don't
of
ever
course-
remember having any issues looting or with the. Honestly, I had very little. The only complaint I really had about that game was the fact that you could like hide under the water and shit on people that couldn't see
That
you.
was dumb.
That was my biggest
That was-
complaint with the game, is that you could like if zone ended at that like little river, you could just hide in the river and like pop your head
You
up
know,
for
I'm
a
actually
quarter second
surprised
every
that
30
isn't-
seconds.
that wasn't a change they made, which I bet it would have been if they would have, if Cold War would have put out their own map. I bet you would have been able to do that because it was the Treyarch. It was a Treyarch mechanic in their multiplayer for a couple games, I think, right? I know it was
Yeah.
obviously Black Ops 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
in
yeah,
Black Ops 4.
It's in Cold War.
Is it?
Pretty
I've
sure.
only ever played Nuketown in Cold War, I think so.
Yeah, I haven't played enough of the maps to really know.
might be.
I
I
don't
don't know.
remember there being water anywhere. Maybe there might be water on some of the multi-team maps.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like it's in there.
Yeah,
I
it's a
feel like-
Treyarch thing, and I bet it would have been on the other maps. So was all I was trying to
I
say.
believe
I feel like I went into water somewhere and I still had a gun in my hand.
Yeah.
In Cold
It's
War.
To be
Probably
honest,
true.
I wish we could get on and just play Blackout because I kind of want to remember what it was like. It's been so long.
It's dead on PC. It has been
Yeah.
since like
I mean, can you even
it's-
find the
it's
game
been-
at all?
you can find a lobby, but it takes like 10 minutes and you're going up against like 14 people on a huge map, so it's not great. All right, we gotta move on because we're running long. I gotta go to bed soon. So contracts. This is a weird one. My main problem with contracts is the balancing of them, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna try and explain this as well as I can. So I dislike scavs, not because I think they're overpowered, but I don't think there's enough of them on the map, because that's basically the only there's like you can do three things when you land. You can either land at Superstore or train station and get enough money for a loadout, or you can land at hangars and fight 7 teams and take all their money and get a loadout, or you can land on a scav and get enough money for a loadout, or
Quick
you can land
options,
in the
of
middle
course.
of nowhere and you can wait for the first free loadout to drop. Those are your 4 options.
No, one more. Recon Randy.
So you can recon Randy too. Sure, on the train. Sure.
Yep.
But I think my main contention is that there's not enough scavs for. I get I get that they want the early game to be like exciting and like there to be conflict, but the fact of the matter is you land, and if you are the first one to hit the ground, you're getting punched in the back of the head. Or if you're the second person to land on the ground, you're punching people in the back of the head before you get punched in the back of the head. And it's just a shit show. It's not a fun or exciting mechanic. If there were more of them on the map, it could resolve the issue. Or if they just took away like that kind of contract and just put more ground loot money on the map so you could kind of land like wherever and get enough money for a loadout, that would be cool too. That's my main issue with contracts. I also am not a huge fan of like the bounty thing. I think it needs to be there in the current version of the game because Ghost is a thing. So that's the only way to fucking find people. But if suppressors weren't as viable as they are and Ghost didn't exist, you wouldn't really need that. I don't know. There's just I'm just not a huge fan. I think the only contracts that should really exist are like the buy station ones where you can get someone back for free or get self-res for free. And I think the red door mechanic should be a contract as well, but I don't think those should spawn off the rip. I think they should spawn after the first circle closes, so it's like a regain strategy. So if your whole team dies and you win your gulag or whatever, and then you come back, you can grab one of those red door contracts and kind of be back in the fight. Because everything's looted by then, and that'd be the only way to really get yourself back, to a reasonable place. So I'm not a huge fan of the way the contracts are in the current state of the game.
I feel like some of like the lesser contracts, like I don't know, like I feel like some of the lesser contracts, like I'm trying to think of one because like recon makes sense, like because it doesn't give you a ton of money, but it tells you intel on where circle's gonna be. So like that makes sense. Like you're not gonna get a lot of money, but you're getting intel, and like bounty, you're getting intel on somebody, so you're not gonna get a ton of money like you are from a scav. Like a most wanted, I feel like initially like that should give you a lot more because I feel like that only gave like what was it? It was something stupid low when we had that. It was like
It's like
$2,000 or whatever.
It's not. It's almost. I think it's 2850. I want to say. It's like almost 3000.
Yeah, and like that's just like not enough.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a most wanted
everybody
should, like,
knows
give more.
exactly where I am. Like that should be.
And it's giving like an updated ping of like right above my head every like what 5 seconds.
Probably
Like,
every 20 milliseconds or whatever. Whatever the 20 hertz.
Yeah, whatever the tick rate is. So every 5 seconds. Yeah, you got it. All right. So
I am kind of iffy on these. Like, I enjoy being able to get money quick, getting the loadout quick, chasing bounties. That's just kind of how we always play the game. I enjoy it to an extent. But at the same time, sometimes it really sucks when you land on a scav and you just die instantly. You waste your gulag and game's over pretty much. Like, I don't know. It's kind of.
It's just not. It's not. It's as if they had these ideas for the game, and then they were like, oh yeah, it sounds great, and no one ever like play tested it with 150 players.
Well, like, yeah. Also, the scav thing that
took
months. That took a couple months, if I'm not mistaken, to like materialize when Warzone came out. Like people didn't know. That took a little bit of time, and as soon as people started figuring out you can do these things, get a satchel, get a ton of money, get your loadout really quick, potentially. That's whenever they kind of blew up. And then now the people that blew them up, so like all the big streamers, so like I watch a lot of Tim, so they don't even do like that anymore. They used to always try to land on scavs. They do scavs for regain, and then but now they just kind of land in a populated area, try to kill everybody, and if they do, they have loadout. If not, game's chalked. So it's kind of it all ends up the same way, to be honest.
All right, was that it for contracts?
Yeah.
Wait, real quick, just because this is down below, the scav thing. Me and Mythic got a scav yesterday, and it went into the basement of a house in Farmer Dan's.
That was in a red door.
That we couldn't go.
It was a red door location. Yeah, get shit on.
Yeah.
They don't play test their game. It's that simple. Because they don't play test their game.
Yeah.
They don't play test their game, and they don't fucking care. Moving on. All right, so this is my last point here. This is another one of those big opinion pieces from Boopsy that we all know and love. In my opinion, of every battle royale that I've ever played over the past few years that battle royales have been a thing, This one feels the least engaging. And what I mean by that is end game of this battle royale, when you're down to like the final whatever amount of teams, the point at which in PUBG I would be shitting myself, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. I have none of those feelings of like excitement in this game. It's not engaging. I don't get the sweaty palms, heart racing end game that I used to feel in like PUBG, or that I feel in games like Tarkov when I have a backpack full of loot and I'm trying to get an extract. Even fucking Fortnite back in the day, it used to have really intense end games that were like, you knew you were going against the best players in the lobby, and you knew it was about to be a hell of a fight. These are just kind of spoiled by things like vehicles and self-res and shit visibility and the lack of good sound design, and all of those things kind of compound to make endgame just feel like a fucking roll of the dice that just isn't exciting to me. So I don't even care. This is one of the reasons that I don't really give a shit if we win or lose. All I want to do is kill people. But at that point, I might as well just be playing multiplayer. So it's just like, to have the idea of a battle royale where it's like you and your squad against fucking 146 other people, and to boil it down to something that doesn't even feel like engaging or exciting or anything like that, for them to have fucked this game up that hard that I don't even care about winning, is just like astronomical. And I know I'm not the only person who feels like that, because that's the reason that a lot of the like people I know who played PUBG, like Sig and Toggles and CP and like all that whole side of my friend group, none of them play this game because it's just not engaging like that. Like you don't feel like, I don't even feel good when we win. It's just like, cool, we won, put me in another lobby so I can get fucking aim assisted by Kilo. Like I don't know how to really put into words like my feelings about this, but it's just, there's just something like super not satisfying about the way the gameplay is in this game. And like, I don't give a shit about winning. I just want to shoot as many fucking rats as possible.
So
okay, go ahead, Mythic. Go ahead.
so like when I like first started playing Fortnite and I got into like those like the last like few teams fighting, like I'd get like the achy, like the the shakes, like hands start shaking, your heart starts going. But like once I started doing that a lot, like the feeling kind of like fled, right? Kind of like in Siege too. Like when you're in like a 1v2, 1v3, and you got to clutch it up for your team to like push it to overtime, like you would get shaky, like your adrenaline would start going. But once you've done that a lot, you're kind of cool under pressure. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, but like 2,000 hours into Siege, I would still have those moments where I was like, holy shit, like I just 1v3'd and put us into overtime or won a ranked game or something. And like, it just felt like insane. Whereas I've never once have I been like nervous or like excited in an end game of this.
I know that Mythic can get that feeling in this game, because I remember literally the first game right when I got Mythic to start playing Warzone with me a little bit.
Oh,
We won our first game together, and he said, "Bro, I am shaking right now." It was so intense. Like it can happen, but it also comes down to the way we play this game. Where like you said, we don't care if we win or not, and like I'm that same way. But like I enjoy getting the gunfights. I play Call of Duty, and I have always played Call of Duty. At least after my search days, I started playing Call of Duty just because I want to shoot people. That's it. Like in game, of course. I've always that's why I play Call of Duty. So I enjoy that. Like we really like as a group, we don't have a ton of wins, but we have we have good KDs and all that because we enjoy pushing gunfights. So like we put ourselves in positions sometimes not to win, but it's because we enjoy pushing gunfights. At least that's how I feel, and I'm pretty sure Mythic feels that way. And like you said, you
like
don't get as much out of that, but
but like
that's
we're
why
taking a lot of gunfights, so it's like, and like, but like, so when I did, like, I still have that clip and I remember it too. Like because I remember like Gohan went down and like the kid self-resed, and like this is this is the early like Warzone days for me, and I was like shaking so bad, like I felt like I was looking at 1v2 in Siege, like all over again, and I was like, I gotta hit my shots and I can't like fuck this up, and like I gotta play like well, and so like we got done and my heart was going so bad, and like Gohan was just like feeding me info like as best as he could,
just like
and
Siege.
I was deadpan quiet. Like I was so locked in. Like I don't know, but
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like it comes down to the way we play this game. I think if we were all like locked in every time, like communicating well all the time or whatever, that feeling would kind of stick around a little bit. But it just comes down to the way we play this game. Like we're always like we're bounty to bounty if possible, always chasing people. If there's a blip that shows up on the map, we are running to it. Like that's just the way we play.
like
If you want to
it
have a more engaging experience, I think we have to play in a more engaging way than just chasing people.
yeah, like inherently we like I'm not gonna say every game like I'm never do we load into like a Warzone game, load into Verdonks and we go, hey, we're gonna play for a win here, right? Like we're going for kills, really.
Yeah.
But even so, like I've never really been the type of person to play a battle royale for like the win because it's boring. I'd rather take gunfights in every battle royale I play.
Right. I mean, you
But
can win a
like,
whole lot more battle royale games just camping and chilling than
yeah, but even so, when I find myself, I fairly often make it to end game, and like if I'm playing solos, I always die in the top 10, and if I'm playing whatever another game, it's always the same thing. I either win it or I die in the top 10. But when I get to that top 10 experience, it something feels fundamentally different about this game. Like it just doesn't feel like there's no stake to it. And there's really no high stake in like PUBG either. But for some reason, just I don't know if it's the way that the guns sound, so they actually sound scary, or if I don't know if it's the fact that in PUBG, like a lot of the players I go up against are better than me, so I'm actually scared of like taking gunfights on game or what it is. But I just find myself like way more engaged in the match. Like I care more about it. Whereas in this game I'm just kind of like, okay, like we're top 10, let's sit up on this hill and kill
right.
people, I guess.
I think I mean like you said before you even started this one was I think this is just a very personal thing for you like for some like I mean there's definitely times where
Well, I know I'm not the only person I
like
know who feels this way.
right no I know but even then knowing those people too and the way they play video games and how they played the games together with us like we all experience things in a different way we always have like I just think that comes down to personal. More people are going to. I mean, obviously, Warzone's like one of the. Is it officially the biggest battle royale in the world? I assume. Do we have
Probably at this point.
Okay, so like most people can find that engagement in this, whereas I think you and those other people are just looking for something different that like the game can't give you for whatever reason. I don't know what it is either because I feel the same way I do in this game as I do other games that we feel similarly about. But I don't know. I think I've mentioned it before. I think it comes back to the fact that I have a history. I know Mythic has a history with Call of Duty, whereas you don't have that history. Like your history is fairly new with Call of Duty. It started in Dub
BO4.
2019. So
It started in
BO4, yeah.
BO4 technically, but I didn't really play BO4. I just played Blackout mostly.
Right. So like you just don't have the same feeling of history and like my nostalgia plays into it just because I've always loved Call of Duty.
So like really quick before you wrap this up, Boopsy, like you said self-res as like something that takes away from like the end game. Why?
Because if I knock somebody, if I'm in a 1v3 and I knock somebody, I'm in a 1v2 now. And in order for that person to get back into the game, I have to be in a 1v1 for at least 5 seconds while that person's getting rezzed. So I'm like, that's the way, in my opinion, it should work, right? So if I'm in a 1v3 and I knock someone, I've done a good thing, right? So I shouldn't have to instant thirst them when they're behind a fucking concrete fucking barricade or some shit. I should be able to turn my attention to the other two people who have their guns up in the fight. And if I see one cross to him and go for the res, at that point I should get aggressive on them and say, oh shit, if I don't want this guy to be rezzed, I need to go finish this kill or make something happen. It just doesn't feel like, it just feels like such a bullshit. It's the same thing I feel about like Dead Silence. It's like, oh cool, this guy had a fucking self-res, cool. Well, now I'm dead because I turned away from him because he was out of the fight. He was, for the lack of a better term, he was fucking dead. and he just comes back because he either picked up a self-res out of a fucking orange crate or he just bought one for 4K. I don't know. It just doesn't scratch the itch for me. Like, I just don't. It's one of those change it's dog shit things, in my opinion.
No, like, yeah, I get it. But I totally understand like why like everything else you mentioned, but self-res like the one that set out like vehicles, for instance, because I told you about that solo game I had where there was like 6 Berthas just driving around, and I was just running around with a little Mackie 10 in my hands, and I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get ran over. I'm not in a Bertha, so I lost.
Also, real quick, I promise this will be the last thing I argue about. The self-res thing is a double-sided coin, right? So, like, if you are that solo in the 1v3, it feels awful. If you're in a 3v3 and you win that game because your teammate's able to get a self-res off, it feels really good. So,
okay, but if you're in a 3, I know you said if you're in a 3v3 and you win because of a self-res, but if you're in a 3v1 and the only reason you won the game is because one of your fucking teammates self-res, you lost that game. You guys are dog shit and you lost.
Of course.
Yeah.
But like if it say, I mean, we've done this
you had
before.
no business winning that. If you the only reason you won a 3v1 or 3v1 is because of a self-res, you had no business winning that.
Absolutely. That is where it feels terrible. But then, like I said, the good times are, I know I've had this moment in a game with Mythic and Screw, I don't remember when, but I know I've had this moment where one of us gets knocked, the other 2 are still fighting, the third person gets up and is able to help again immediately. So like you're not entirely grief because the one person got knocked, you know? Like that's when it feels good. And if, you know, it's sure it's unfair because it kind of, what if they don't have self-reses or whatever, you know, like it is a weird one. And while if it wasn't there, it could be better, but it also does go both ways. That's all I'm saying.
It does, but I'm of the opinion, I skipped over this earlier in my list, but I'm also of the opinion that like things like Gulag and self-res and stuff like that incentivize poor gameplay choices. So like they incentivize they create bad habits. So like
Sure.
if there was no Gulag and no buyback, or even if there was a buyback, but if you had to risk it for the biscuit and like go pick up something from their body to buy them back, right? Like Apex and Fortnite. So if there was a risk involved in like getting a buyback or getting a res off or anything like that, people would play this game a lot differently than they currently do. You wouldn't have Mythic wouldn't run into a building that he knows 3 people are in just because he thinks he can knock 2 of them before he dies. And then he dies, comes back from Gulag, and it's like nothing ever happened. Like that's a dumb thing that no one should ever be incentivized to do. But this game is such that is that is literally rewarded by things like self-res, buybacks for no risk, and the Gulag mechanic. Like it's piss poor gameplay design.
Not to call you guys out here for this, but people love bad habits, right? You guys have both been hitting your vapes this entire podcast. People love bad habits. It's an addictive thing to love a bad habit, right?
Yeah, but I don't breathe competitively.
No, but it is true that bad habits can form in situations that allow it, right? So like you have allowed this to happen. So people love that part of the game because they can make a mistake and then still be okay, you know. I'm just saying people love bad habits. That's all.
I understand why people enjoy those mechanics. I'm just making these are things that I hate about the game.
Right.
It incentivizes just shit gameplay, which I don't like. It's the same reason I don't like Blitz and Siege. It's just shit gameplay. It's like you're not having fun running Blitz and I'm not having fun running from Blitz. So why are we here? Yeah. Why are we doing this right now? I don't know. It's just
I was just trying to play devil's advocate this whole episode.
I understand.
I don't actually have all these opinions. You know, I'm with you on a lot of these. I'm against you on some of these. So
yeah, I get it. So this is a very personal episode for me, because I hate this game as much as I do. I don't think I've played this game since the last time we recorded. I probably won't play between now and the next time we record either. So, we might get into that more on the next episode.
Here with our friends.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else anyone wants to add before we wrap this bitch up?
Nah, just get us out of here. We're long, very long.
Yeah, we ran real fucking long. All right. Well, I hope you found some semblance of enjoyment through this episode. I know it was basically me just bitching about the game that you all probably love, and I hope you learned something here today. I'm not trying to turn people away from Warzone. I just know that I do a lot of complaining and a lot of bitching about this game, and I was kind of trying to give some insight into my opinions because I don't often have time to go in depth on some of the things I say. So if anyone's curious as to why Boopsy hates the game, that the last 2 hours, that's it. You can catch more from the Hard Stuck Boys over at Twitch. You can find Mythic at twitch.tv/hey_it's_mythic. You can get Gohan over at twitch.tv/itsbrohan, ITSBROHAAN. You can find me and all my malding glory over at twitch.tv/itsboopsy. That's ITSBOOPSY. Be sure to join the fucking Discord. You can find people to play with. You can ask podcast questions and stay up to date on any news regarding the podcast. The link will be in the description as always. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Hard Stuck Podcast, and until next time, GG's.
Peace.
Peace.